Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Parth Khemka, and welcome to the very first episode of the Unstuck Mindset Show, where we connect you with your favorite entrepreneurs who have successfully mastered the power of the mindset. Now, we all come here to share with you the insider secrets and stories of how you can also master your mindset and achieve your dreams. Before we move forward, let me introduce you to our guest, Hernan Vazquez. He is one of the top digital marketer in the business world and has spent more than $7 million on advertisement alone in 2019. He's the man behind running the ads for Grand Cardone. But you know what? He started from a 9 to 5 job. Let's hear his story in his own words. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our guest, Hernan Vasquez. Thank you so much for being here, Hernan. How are you doing today?
Hey man, hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. This is awesome. Really excited to share a little bit
Mhm.
of the story with you guys.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on the show, man. Thank you once again. So,
You got it.
Hernan, take us back to the time when you were a teenager. Like, what kind of dreams and goals did you have?
That's actually, I actually love that question. You
Hmm.
know, I am originally from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I am from South America, right? I'm from a third world country, and I was born and raised here. I did all of my school here. Since I was a little kid. And my parents are from here, my family is from here, so everyone is from Buenos Aires, Argentina, from a third world country. And
Hmm.
when I was growing up, I kind of knew that I wanted to do my own stuff. I kind of knew that I wanted to have my own business, grow my own companies and whatnot. But I didn't know what. Like honestly, what
Hmm.
most people would do at the time would be, hey, let's study, or you get into high school and you would study something, and then you will go into university to study something to get a job, right? To get a nine to
Right.
five job. That's like 99% of people, 99.9% of people here in
Hmm.
Argentina. It's what they're doing, what they're taught to do, what they're showed to do. My parents, they're both professionals, they're both
Hmm.
accountants. So the logical thing to do would be, hey, you need to study, you need to go to university, and you need to get a job. So that was the whole thing. But I kind of knew that I was dwelling in technology since a really young age. My parent, he was a kind of a really into technology as well. So he had a computer at home, which was kind of weird, like 25 years ago. And he had like this computer at home, and then he also had a mobile phone, when mobile phones were not a thing.
Hmm.
And and we started like with my brother. I have a younger brother. We started playing video games since we were really young kids and whatnot. So we were exposed to technology for quite a while. And I knew that I wanted to do something with technology. And one of the things that I was thinking about studying when I was deciding what to study in university was, I'll do something related to coding or programming or computer technology, right? IT. And I
Hmm.
didn't end up doing that and whatnot. But that was basically the thing. It was like something related to technology. It ended up being digital marketing. So it was something related to technology, something related about my own stuff that would allow me to be creative. But back in the day, it was all about like go to school, go to university, get a job, and that's it. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Completely. But tell me, like, if your parents were the kind of person who, or the kind of people who wanted to do, who wanted you to do a job and then, study at university, how did you got that seed implanted in your head? Like, no, this is not me. I will not be the person who will do a 9 to 5 job. I will start my own business or something. Because I can tell you, if your parents are already saying, then probably the thing is that kids are already being influenced by that decision. Like if my parents are
Right,
saying I have to do it, right? So who
right,
implanted that seed in your head that no, man, this is not my way. I
right,
want to do something else.
right. That's actually a great question. So I think I had two. So my parents. So my mother would have a 9 to 5 job, right? And my
Hmm.
parent would have his own like CPA practice, right? His own accountant's practice. So I would see my dad being independent while he was still like pushing me to go to university and then get a job, which was kind of weird. But still, like my mother was straight up 9 to 5 job. all the way. Now, my grandmother, I grew up with my grandmother because, again, they were working all day. So I grew up with my grandmother. My grandmother she had her own stuff going. She always had her own stuff going. She divorced my granddad when she was like 40 something, which was unheard of at the time,
Mm-hmm.
at least here in Argentina. And, but she always had her own like shop. She used to have a bakery, so I was born in that, like, in that space where she would have her own stuff, and my dad would have his own stuff as well. So that
Mm-hmm.
basically, I would say that basically pushed me to stuff and still be successful. You know what I'm saying?
So, man, tell me this. You said that your grandmother had a bakery, right?
Yeah.
But you told me that you still did a 9 to 5 job. So when you did that, how did you feel? Like, you have to still do the university, you still have to do the job, but it was always in your head, this is not my thing. So how did you went through that phase? What are
Yeah.
the things that you faced at that moment?
So while I was studying in university, I always had a job. Like, I had a job before I even graduated high school, right? So I started like doing. I studied English since I was like a little kid. So by the time I was like at high school, I had kind of an understanding of the language, so I could teach my colleagues and my friends and whatnot. And then I took a job at the international airport here in Buenos Aires. All of this while I was at university. Now I finished university and I got a job in a really nice company here in Argentina. It was a great company. It was a big company,
Hmm.
and it was like I literally walked from my home when I was living back with my parents. I walked from my home down the street, and that was the work, right? So it was like 3 blocks away. It
Oh.
was great. I was getting paid okay for my young age. I was like 19 or something. I
Hmm.
was getting paid okay, and I was doing HR. I was doing recruiting, so interviews and all of that in that company. But the math that I did when I was, I think that I lasted like for a year and a half or 2 years on that position. And the math that I did was like, hey, okay, so I'm young, I'm living with my parents, I'm 19, 18, whatever, 20. And if I stay here for the next 10 years, right? If I stay here in this 9 to 5 job for the next 10 years, what could happen? And the answer was like, okay, what could happen is that I could possibly get like a promotion, or I could possibly get like a middle management type of, deal,
Hmm.
and like a chief or a boss or a middle management type of position. Okay, that's great. What could happen if I dedicate myself 10 years to my own business, right?
Hmm.
So the limit wasn't there. So the ceiling, there was no ceiling, right? If I dedicated myself for the next 10 years to my own business, what could happen versus if I stayed in that position? So I decided to take the leap at that point because the math was clear. It was like, okay, if I stay here, I could do this. If I don't know where this path is going to take me, but I know that it's going to take me much farther. And this was like 10 years ago. It's been 10 years since I haven't got a 9 to 5 job.
Hmm.
And so that's basically what I was thinking. Does that make sense?
Yes, for sure.
Mhm.
So your father wanted to do a job, you got the job, and that too, you got the job in a very big company. So was your
Yeah.
father really happy about that?
So he was super happy. We were all super happy that I got that job, all
Okay.
of us, including myself.
Hmm.
Including myself. But then as reality started sinking in, I wasn't as happy. And, when I talked to them, it was like my parents were, while they still wanted me to get a job, they were like really supportive at the end of the day. So they were like, okay, so, and I explained to them in a perspective that, hey, listen, I'm young, I don't have kids, I live with you guys, I'll figure this out. So,
Right.
so from that perspective, they were respectful. They were super supportive about what I wanted to do. So, while it was a surprise for them that I wanted to quit that job and dedicate to my own stuff, which I didn't know what that was at the time. I didn't know. you know, they supported me and say, hey, well, this is the time for you to try stuff, you know?
Mhm. So here, your father and your mother, your parents actually supported you because you
Yeah.
explained them in a way where they thought, okay, my kid's gonna do something. He's gonna do. But right now, what we can see, there are a lot of parents that they don't want to support their child if it comes to entrepreneurship, if it comes to business. And a lot of people, they even though they have big dreams, they're not able to go into a full power because they think, no, you're no, my parents are not agreeing with me. So
Right.
what kind of advice would you like to give them in order to for make them easy that no, even if they're not supporting you, here's what you can do.
Right. Right. That's actually a good point. So I think that from that perspective, I think there's a lot of proof that has to happen, and not only proof for your parents that you can have your own stuff on the side. Maybe initially you need to have that 9 to 5 job and then do
Hmm.
something else on the side, right? Maybe initially that's the thing, and that 9 to 5 job will allow you to pay for training, learning, tools, advertising, whatever that is, right? To put together that other business. But it's not only the proof and show to your parents that you can make it, it's also to prove it to yourself that you can make it, right? There's that. So for instance, my first gig when I left that job was I was doing recruiting, right? At that job, I was doing recruiting, I was doing interviews and whatnot. And I left, and a couple of weeks later, my boss back at the time, back at the place, he picked up the phone, he called me and he said, hey, Hernan, listen, we need to recruit this amount of people with the people that we have here, with, you know, with the companies that we work with. They're not good. We want you to help us recruiting this amount of people, right?
Hmm.
And the funny thing was that I got paid for that job. So I helped them, you know, put in a lot of people in that company. I got paid like 10 times as much that I was getting paid in that company to doing the same thing. So that was kind of funny, because one of the conversations that I had with my boss is like, dude, I let you go 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. Now I need to pay you 10 times as much to do the same thing that you were doing right here, right? So
Right.
and that was kind of but and then at the time, my boss asked me, hey, okay, this is cool. We're gonna give you the job, we're gonna give you the gig, but you need to put together a website, right? You need to put together a website for your firm and blah blah blah. And I didn't know how to put together a website, so I had to, I had to go out there, figure stuff out with WordPress, hostings, templates, and all that, right? And that was kind of fun. But I think that, going back to your initial question, I think that that was kind of the first thing that proved it that I could do my own thing, and not only prove it to my parents that I could do my own thing on the side, but I also prove it to myself. Which I think it's a big mindset shift when you start gaining some traction, when you start getting these proof of concepts. It's a proof of concept for yourself more than anything else, because
Hmm.
once you understand what you prove yourself, that you never want to go back to a 9 to 5 job, because you realize there's no growth there's no potential, right?
Hmm.
So I think that that's one of the things that I would suggest for people in a 9 to 5 job that they want to leave. Is like, don't leave your job, keep going, build your side hustle or your side activity or whatever on the side, right?
Hmm.
Weekends, nights, whatever, and prove that concept. Once you prove that concept and growing, then you can replace your income. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. And what about the attitude, Hernan? Like, what kind of attitude should they have when they are having a 9 to 5 job, but they still want to do something amazing, right? They want to do something for themselves. A lot of times, without even starting their entrepreneurial journey, they're already scared. Like, oh man, there's going to be a lot of challenges. I won't be able to do it, man. I'm alone. I'm alone in
Right.
this, right? So what kind of attitude is required when you are at that place where you want to do something, you're alone, but you need to collect all that guts together and you
Mhm.
still have to do it because you cannot just stay there.
Right. Dude, I think that um, fear and being scared is completely normal. Whoever is telling you that they're not scared is full of crap. I don't believe that, like fear and uncertainty, they're normal. But at the end of the day, I think that fear, like what drives me is, what drives me is a lot of, outgoing, like, hey, I want to go and get that objective and that goal. But it's also the fear of staying the same. So at that point, it was like, hey, am I afraid of what's the biggest fear, right? Biggest fear is not the unknown. My biggest fear is to stay the same for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be my life. I'm doing my own thing. Because I could fail and I could go back to get a job. You can always go back and get a job, right? So
Right.
that was always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So my fear was like staying the same. So you need to think about, hey, which is the biggest fear? If you think about my biggest fear is to lose my income right now, then don't do it. Maybe you need some more time. But if your biggest fear is, hey, I don't want to stay the same for the next 20 years, then you need to take the job, because that's,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be more afraid of of staying the same, that change, if that makes sense.
Right. So that means instead of being scared of the unknown, you should be scared of the things that will stay here for the rest of your life if you don't take the action. That's like a change in
Right.
a little bit, like a shift there. Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And
So,
you will be scared anyways. You'll be scared anyways about the unknown. You will be scared. Like whoever is telling you, hey, I'm not scared, it's not right. And as entrepreneurs, you take a lot of risks, right? And there are no guarantees that you will succeed. And even further, when you have a team and when you're giving jobs to other people, like we have one of my companies has a team of 35 people in the Philippines. So we give jobs to a lot of people. I have a team of 6 people here in Buenos Aires. So there's a lot of risks involved with businesses. But the biggest risk, I think, is staying the same and not making an impact.
mhm. So if you're already scared of the things that you want to do, let's just say that if he's scared about the outcomes, instead, despite of being scared, how do you control that feeling, man? Like you are scared, you are in fear, but instead of the fear letting you control, yourself, you're rather going out, you're letting your faith control you. So how do you
Right.
actually manage that? How do you do that every time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that question. I think that action, like taking action trumps fear all the time. I'm a
Hmm.
big executor. Like I'm a big maker. Like in fact, I think that like shift is better than perfect. Progression over perfectionism. There's a lot of stuff that will get you to where you want to be. And I think that I execute a lot of times out of fear, right?
Hmm.
I execute a lot of times out of, like, for instance, before hopping on this call, I was building another funnel for one of my offers because the current offer wasn't converting, right? So I decided, hey, screw it. I'm going to duplicate this funnel, do it everything again because this offer is not converting and I want it to convert. So it's the fear of staying the same that drives me, right? And
Hmm.
besides the fact that, hey, yeah, I do want this offer to convert because I want to get more people into my list, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
Hmm.
I think that action is a big fear. It's the big fear killer, right? If you're not sure about what to do, if you're afraid, thinking about it will not make the fear go away. But putting together a website, putting together a social profile, starting to upload content, building your email list, like putting together a lead magnet, like all of those things that are activity based, making your first phone call. Those are activities that will kill the fear. Does that make sense?
Right. Exactly. So what you're saying is, instead of us not taking action because of the fear, we should take action because of the fear so that the fear eventually goes away.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
100%. I think that there's this mental slump that you go through, right, when you're afraid and you start going through the activity and then the fear goes away and then the activity remains, right? You keep going the activity and you keep progressing. So there's this mental curve that you need to pass and then you enter in this flow state because you're doing right.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, you always want to Like you always want to win the war on fear by actually doing. So the minute you're doing, you're not afraid because you're too busy doing. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm. Yeah. Now you decided you want to do something else. You will not do a job, but you haven't still figured it out. You don't know what you want to do. So how did
Right.
you actually figure it out? How much time did it took you? No, man, this is gonna be the rest of my life. I'm gonna do this. I love that. How did you
Right.
find that passion in yourself?
So I think that's a discovery process that never ends, right? Like at this point, I'm still like saying, hey, this is good, this is cool, let's go with it, right? Well, I know that it's going to be digital marketing. Over the past like 6 7 years, I've been focusing on paid advertising,
Mhm.
paid media, Facebook ads, Google ads, and whatever. But initially I didn't know. And I kind of follow what was cool at the time. So for instance, I told you that my boss called me. He asked me, hey, dude, we're going to give you this job, but you need to put together a website, right? So you need to put
Mhm.
together a website. And I didn't know anything about website making. I am not a coder. So I had to go out there, figure it out. I had to go out there, get a hosting, install a WordPress template, blah, blah, blah. And then a week later, I was like, here's your website right here, right?
Mhm.
So that process was cool. So I thought, okay, this is kind of cool. I can start offering these type of services to clients, right? To potential clients. And I started doing, and I got some people taking me up on that offer, right? On hey, I'm going to build you a website. I'm going to charge you cheap because I'm still a newbie, but and then you can recommend me to some other people. So that was kind of the beginning of the journey. At the same time, I was living with my parents. At the same time, I moved in with my girlfriend to a city here in Argentina called Cordoba. It is south. So if you can imagine South America, we're in the southernmost tip of the continent,
Mhm.
and it's kind of south. It's in the middle of the country, but it's really south. So it gets really cold. It gets really really cold.
Mhm.
So I moved in with my girlfriend, and again I was figuring this out. Like I didn't have any clients. I have a couple of clients, did web design for them, and I didn't know what to do. And I started reading a lot in forums. I started like testing little tools that didn't work for me. I spent a decent amount of money on training at the time and whatnot. And my girlfriend at the time, she did have a job in Cordoba. I didn't. I was figuring this out. And so we had to rely on her income to put
Mhm.
money on the table, right? To put food on the table, rather.
Oh.
And at some point, it got so tight that we had to choose either to put food on the table or to heat up the house, you know, because we couldn't afford to heat up the house. So I was there, I was like sitting 8 9 10 hours straight, huddle in my laptop with like 3 hoodies like this, and I was like trying to figure out what to do. And somebody introduced me to Fiverr.com,
Mhm.
and this was like Fiverr.com 9 years ago, which is not the Fiverr that it is right now. Fiverr at that point was only $5 for everything, right?
Oh,
Right now you
okay.
can hire really good people, really high talent for like 80, 90, $150, $200. Back in, now they're doing television publicity and advertising and all of that. Back in the day, they weren't. They were starting out. So I opened a Fiverr profile and I offered to write articles for $5 a pop. Well, I would charge $4 because $1 out of that was going to Fiverr. So
Mhm.
I started doing that, and then people started hiring me for writing articles. 300, 400, 500 word articles for $4 in English and Spanish and whatnot. And that was like my first online gig, that where an online stranger bought from me and bought my stuff online, right? I didn't know these people.
Mhm.
So but that took me from the minute that we moved in to where I figured that out. That took me around 18 months. 18 months of testing stuff that didn't work, 18 months of, going in forums, Warrior Forum, for instance, 10 years ago. And there was like this last, I don't know, the latest shiny object, or how to build bots with Twitter that will make you like $5 a day and whatnot. And for me, $5 a day was a lot of money, back in the day. So I tested all of that stuff, and I ended up in Fiverr. So I was like straight up 8, 9, 10 hours a day, writing articles for $4 a pop, but at least I was making money online, right? At that point, I was putting money on the table. So, but it took me a while. It took me like 18 months without seeing any money at all coming in to
Wow.
start like changing money for time, if that makes sense.
Mhm. So to everyone who's watching this show right now, this guy right here who spent $7 million last year, his first gig was $4. You know,
Yeah, it was.
now every
I still have my Fiverr profile. It's a level 2 seller profile. I still have it, just as a
wow,
reminder. As a reminder of this is what you start doing. So
uh-huh, that's amazing, man. So during that 18 months when you were trying to figure that out, and you obviously left your job, right?
yeah.
What were the feelings? Because I can see if you're struggling a lot, there's always something telling you, man, I should go back. Maybe I should go back. Maybe this is not for me. What were the feelings? Because if you're not able to put the food on the table, there's always something which is in the guilt, like, no man, I'm not doing good, I have to figure it out, so what
Yeah.
kind of feelings you had at that moment, and how did you fought it?
So the hey, I need to go back was always in the back of my head. Hey, I need to go back. I need to go back. The reason why is because I was seeing my friends. They all had their 9 to 5 jobs, right? I was seeing my friends back in the day, and this is funny because this is like taken out of those motivational stories or whatever. But I was seeing my friends going back to with their jobs. They were with fancy clothes, they were changing their cars and whatnot, and I wasn't. So it was always in the back of my head, like, hey, I need to go back. I need to go back. Should I go back? This is not for me, blah, blah, blah. So it was a lot of anxiety all day, every day. I couldn't sleep well, of course, because I wasn't providing. My girlfriend, like, God bless her, was like, putting money putting food on the table while I wasn't. So that also kind of, I felt, I come from a third world country, kind of really old school, old fashioned type of mentality, right? Family where the man should go out and provide to the family. So I also felt like emasculated. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
so that was kind of the approach there. Um, but again, I think that I was taking a lot of action, whatever that was. Going in forums, learning every day, testing new stuff. So that kind of distracted me of the fear. But that's where I learned that taking action is the big fear killer. Because again, I was taking so much action that I couldn't really, even if the action didn't result in anything, right? That's not the point. You don't take actions just because you're thinking that, oh, well, this is going to work. You take action because of you want to build something. And
Right.
then some stuff will stick eventually, right? That's how business is conducted, basically. Or entrepreneurship is like you throw enough stuff at the wall and you see what sticks. And that was the way that I would operate back in the day, because otherwise it was like I wouldn't sit down and wait for something to happen. I would like make it happen, right?
Hmm.
So I think that was the big motivator, if that makes sense, like there.
Right. So when you wanted to actually do something rather than the job, you wanted to be your own boss. What were your dreams and goals? Like, what were your desires that were pulling you there?
um so I think that freedom was a big desire of mine. The fact that I could do whatever I want whenever I want, and
Hmm.
work on projects that really excited me, and work with people that really excited me to work with, and work on stuff that I thought would be cool to work. So those things, I think that they were the big drivers. Now, also let me tell you that 10 years ago, today is a little bit more common, but it's not that common either here. But 10 years ago, nobody was working from home. Like work from home was like a dream. Like nobody would work from home. Everybody would go to some place to work, right? Everybody would have a job. They will need to commute. They will need to go there. So where you were living, meant a lot because hey, you need to live by your job, you need to live close by and whatnot. So that was the mentality. So working from home, and this is my, like, this is my uniform. This is my uniform, unless I'm recording a video when I could put up a jacket or whatever. But this is my uniform every day, every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically it, like freedom, and the fact that I could work from home, and the fact that that was like a big discovery for me as well. And
Mm-hmm.
initially, when my girlfriend, she had a 9 to 5 job, and I started doing some other stuff. So she started seeing that I was working from home and making money. So, and then I started like handing her over some clients so she could work on those, and she also writing articles and whatnot from Fiverr.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would still prefer to go out there to get a job because she didn't thought that working from home was possible, right? So right now it's like much more possible. But I think that those were the main drivers, like freedom, and the fact that you can work wherever you want, whenever you want. Like sometimes we'll go out there, we will take a trip with my girlfriend, like for, I don't know, 3 months. We'll be in the US. We'll be in Europe, just traveling and working with our laptops and whatnot. We're not living the laptop lifestyle. That's not a thing. But I think we can do it if we wanted to, because we can work from wherever we want. So freedom in that regard was a big driver.
Okay. So, like, when your father and your mother, they were both doing a 9 to 5 job, and because of that, I can see a lot of people, they have a thing called limiting beliefs. You know,
Mhm.
they have the desires, but they think maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. Because my father is saying it's not possible. I should rather than do a job. But when I go over to YouTube, man, people are freaking earning so much money. So that
Right.
limiting beliefs, that the things that were coming in, how did you overcome those limiting beliefs? How did you do that exactly?
So, there are a couple of things, right? Number one, you need to control the input. So you need to control what goes in here,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I was lucky enough, I was privileged enough that from a really early stage, from a really young age, my parents, they were trying, or they were trying to do their own stuff, like and they would get into this multi-level marketing type of companies, right, from here
Mhm.
and there and whatnot. So they would buy a lot of books, a lot of motivational books, Think and Grow Rich, how to win friends and influence people. That was like a pivotal book for me. So there was a lot of books, motivational type books, in my parents' house. And then I go from time to time to see my mother, and I would grab a book, and I would just take a book, and hey, can you lend this to me and whatnot. So I think that you need to control what goes in. So
Mhm.
you need to control what goes in, and the best thing that you can do this is by closing all of the negative talk. So you need to stop watching TV, stop watching the news, stop consuming the news on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. So that plays a big role, because once you starve your brain from the bad news and how it's not possible, then you start feeding your brain of what's possible, right?
Mhm.
So going to YouTube every single day, like you need to, I think that sometimes you need to hypnotize yourself, hypnotize yourself to believe that it's possible.
Mhm.
So the amount of information that goes in needs to be super top notch quality, right?
Mhm.
And at some point you will wake up and you will think, okay, well, this is cool, this is possible. At some point you will wake up and think, all right, so I can do this, because again, you're kind of hypnotizing yourself to become better, right?
Mhm.
So that's number one. But also number two, I think that getting a mentor is really, really important. So one of the things that I did when I was starting out was like find those people that I wanted to work with, and trying to add a lot of value to them, right?
Mhm.
So uh, one of my first mentors back in the day was Alex Becker, you know. And Alex, what I did with Alex, he was doing SourceWave, he was doing SEO, and I was learning a lot about SEO back in the day. And what I did with Alex is that I didn't have a lot of money to buy his programs, But what I did is like, I contacted him and tell him, hey dude, I'll work for you, because I just want to be near your content. I just want to be near your mindset. I just want to be near
Mm-hmm.
your programs, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I started doing support. So support tickets, I will answer support tickets for him. And I did that for quite a while, actually. I did that for a year or two while I was developing my own companies and all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that exposing yourself to somebody that's already in the position that you want to achieve, by adding value, by working for free, by doing whatever it takes to actually get their attention, it's one of the best things that you can do. So in order for you to cut down the negative mentality and the negative mindset, those are the two things that I would suggest. Number one, change the input and you will change the output. And number two, start getting surrounded with people that really, are in the place that you want to go, and then offer them to work for free.
Mm-hmm.
Offer them to work for free, offer them to add value, whatever it is that you want to do, but get close to those people. That will open up a lot of opportunity for you.
Right. So, golden nugget for all the people who is watching this show, man. If you are filled with excuses, see, if you want to work with someone, if you want to have a mentor, now you say, man, I don't have the money to have the mentor. You don't need money. You need guts. And you
Right.
need guts for what? You actually need guts to reach out to that person and to tell him that, man, I want to work with you for free. Just
Right.
let me be there, be me, like let me be in that environment, and I'll figure the rest of it out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the mentor is very important, but the money is the secondary thing unless and until you want the expertise. But if you want to get started, be willing to work with someone for absolutely free. You know,
Yeah.
you'll not earn money in the starting, man. Obviously, you have to first earn skills, then you learn the
Right.
money, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. I've always thought that I always thought that money is a byproduct of your skills, right?
Hmm.
Money is a byproduct of the value that you bring into the marketplace, and money will come. Money
Hmm.
will come. I know that it's hard to think about that when you're in that situation where you need the money, but you need to put together the skills, and you need to put together the skills, and money will come. Totally agree with that.
And how did you actually got started with digital marketing specifically?
So, okay, so I mentioned that I started doing web design for some clients,
Hmm.
and I started, selling those websites and whatnot. And then the same clients will start asking me for traffic, right? Okay, so now I have a great website, I have a nice website. What do we do? I need traffic, I need clients, right? And the first thing that I did was to get started in SEO, search engine optimization.
Hmm.
And so I became decently good at it. So I started offering SEO services, which was a recurring thing, right, for these clients. And then at the time, again, I approached Alex. I started working into his ecosystem and whatnot. And and what happened is that inside one of Alex's programs, I met a group of guys. He had a program called Dynasty, was a mastermind for
Hmm.
high-level SEOs. We all had our own agency, and I met this group of guys. And then today, these guys are my partners. We put together a company called Semantic Mastery. And what we do is we teach digital agency owners how to get more clients, how to grow their agencies and whatnot. Because all of us we had our own clients and whatnot. So we started doing that, and then we started teaching other digital agency owners some of our tricks, some of our strategies for SEO, and we launched our first product. Our first digital product, my first digital product, was called IFTTT SEO Academy.
Hmm.
And then it became so popular that we had to take it down. We had to change the name to Syndication Academy because we got a cease and desist from IFTTT. You cannot use our name, so stop doing it. We sold a
Okay.
bunch of copies, and when that happened, one of us, there's 5 partners in that company. One of us had to step up and start doing the marketing, right? Start doing the funnels, the Facebook ads, and all of that, because we needed more people coming to and buying our products. So
Hmm.
that's how I started, doing funnels, email automations, like email marketing, Facebook ads for the most part, for that company. And then those are skill sets that I developed thanks to, needing them.
Hmm.
But then I started offering them to other entrepreneurs. And now, I have a small operation, have a small agency. We cater to a bunch of, high level entrepreneurs, high level individuals when it comes to Facebook ads. But that's basically, that's basically how I got started. So it's one thing taking to the next in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because you're curious, because you're asking questions, because you're working yourself into this ecosystems of these entrepreneurs. And it's like, hey, following what's cool, because that's the whole reason why we're doing this, is because we want to work on what's cool. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what exactly is digital marketing? How it is so important for entrepreneurs and business people out there?
Right. So the way I see digital marketing is a strategy, or a group of strategies that allows you to get somebody from the internet, a complete stranger from the internet, and
Mm-hmm.
turn them into a customer for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And digital marketing has a lot of different, different avenues. You can get, like, again, I started doing SEO, which was, hey, when somebody searches for somebody on Google, then you want to appear on top, because there's a high chance that they will click on your website and they will go into your website. Then I started learning about Facebook ads, because again, you can target them. You can target specific advertising to specific profiles and to specific industries and interests and whatnot. If they click on those ads, there's a high chance that they will become a customer down the line. So email is still the number one source of ROI, return on the investment, for compared to any other tool out there. So those are basically, the tools that I use. But in short, it's like using strategies so that you can turn a complete stranger over the internet, that products and services, into a customer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this for audience, for everyone who's watching here, what are some of the hardships that you go through when you're starting a digital marketing, working for digital marketing? What are the front end, difficulties that they face when they do that? And how do they,
Right,
basically go over that?
right, for sure. So I think that the first thing is that, um, so there's so many opportunities, right? There's so many ways of making money through digital marketing. Like, you can make money as an affiliate, which is selling other people's product. You can run traffic for some other people. You can build websites for some other people. You can even do web design or graphics design for some other people. So there's so many different avenues, that the first thing that happens are two things. Number one is lack of knowledge, right? Lack of
Mm-hmm.
skills, which is easily solved by going to YouTube, or buying programs, or even like putting together stuff that breaks and that sucks, but then you get better at it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing. But then the other thing, which is super important, is also overwhelm, because again, there's so many different avenues that people, they don't know where to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which is fine and normal. So my recommendation on those cases is to focus and narrow it down to where you become really, really good at one or two things. Like, I've had the honor of working with some really high level individuals. Like, I'm working with Frank Kern. Last year, I worked with the team at Grant Cardone, running traffic for them and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized is that the top high level entrepreneurs, I'm also consulting a little bit with the team at Graciosi. So the top high level entrepreneurs of this world, they're really, 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 really good
Mm-hmm.
at one, two, maybe three things. And that's it. That's where they double down. That's where their focus goes. That's what they're doing every single day, every day, all day long.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of stuff, you can outsource it, right? Like, the rest of stuff, and I mean on your business life and in your personal life, you can outsource it. And that's how they operate. So my recommendation is, hey, pick something that you really enjoy doing. I really enjoy doing Facebook ads. I really do. And that is
Mm-hmm.
something that on my clients, while I do have a team, I do geek out and I go in and test and tweak and launch Facebook ads myself, because I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But try to find something, and this happens by trial and error. Try to find something that you really enjoy, and then become really, really good at it. Because becoming really good at something will make your time worth, right? Will get you paid what you're worth. That's the whole point. Like, nobody, you can tell that the number one NBA player is in the world is LeBron James, right? But
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows who number two is, or number three, or
Right.
number five, right? you can say that the number one soccer, I'm a big soccer fan because I'm from Argentina. The number one
Hmm.
soccer, player in the world is Lionel Messi, right? Number two,
Right.
you can say Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, that's cool. Who's number 10? You don't know,
Hmm.
right? So that is something that you want to aim. And, and if you're, and this is something that I learned from one of my friends and mentor, PJ, Pech Mangadimi, uh, is that he taught me, hey, dude, if you're going to do anything, you better become real good at it, like really good, right?
Hmm.
And there's no shortcuts to it. Like you need to be on it like every day, and you need
Hmm.
to work your way in, and you need to learn, and you need to break stuff, and you're going to lose money, but you need to become the very best at what you do. That's the only thing that pays, really. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Right. For sure. For sure. So for everyone who's starting out, instead of you trying 10 different things at once, what Hernan is saying that first you have to stack on your success. Be
Mm-hmm.
good at one thing and then stack it up by another thing and then
Right.
stack it up. But if you're trying to do all the things at once, then you're going to be average at all of it, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Mhm.
100%. Yeah.
So Hernan, looking at your journey for everything that you told us, now because the tagline of the show is that success is 90% mindset and 10% process. How important do you think is mindset in the process of achieving your dreams and achieving the success that we want?
I think it really is 90% of the journey, and 10% is execution. I think that it does take a while to get your mindset right. So if now you're frustrated, you're fearful, you have anxiety, you are overwhelmed, you don't know where to go. Let me tell you that it's normal. We're all been there,
Hmm.
and with execution comes clarity, and with like the moving forward and the forward momentum comes clarity, right?
Hmm.
So I feel that right now I have much more clarity of what I want to do, where I want to go, that 10 years ago when I was starting out. But that's a byproduct of sticking to it, getting to work every day, becoming better at your craft. And that will give you a lot more clarity of what you're going to do. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Hmm. So, in the end, right now, what advices would you like to give to all the young hustlers, to all the people who are viewing this show right now?
Um, I would say work on what's cool for you, like whatever cool is the definition for you.
Hmm.
Some people will be I don't know, doing art might be cool for them, or some other stuff, right, might be cool for them, or selling might be cool for them.
Hmm.
And you will realize what's cool for you after you tried enough things, right? After you
Hmm.
tried enough things and different things, then you realize,
Right.
okay, so this is cool, I can do this. Or hey, this is cool and it's giving me money, right? So I can definitely do this. So 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 that would be my approach to it initially. Like
Hmm.
you need to try a lot of different things until you find that thing that you're really good at,
Hmm.
and then you double down on that, and then you should stick to it, and then you work your face off,
Hmm.
because you need to work really really hard to make this happen, which is cool. Because if you're doing something that you like, if you're doing something that's cool, then you can put in the long hours, right? You can put in the hours, you can talk to other awesome people. So that would be my advice.
Hmm. And man, if anyone watching this show needs your help in digital marketing, and if they want to have the same results like you, how can they learn from you?
So they can go to YouTube. If you search for my name on YouTube, I have like 4 years plus worth of content in there. It's a lot of content
Hmm.
in YouTube. You can search for my name, Hernan Vazquez Marketing on IG. I tend to share my story and my journey a little bit there. And I would start there. I would definitely start there, and then going from there.
Okay. Okay. So, in the end, Hernan, what do you think about the mission that the Unstuck Mindset show is on?
I think it's great, man. I think that you're doing a great job. I think that more people need to listen to this show, because when you're starting out, when you have a 9 to 5 job, it's really good to, again, it's a lot of input, and
Hmm.
this is one of the things that should be on your list when it comes to input, so that you can hear from other people's mouth about what success really is, and you can get
Hmm.
away from the poor mentality, the scarcity mentality. You can get away from the fake gurus on IG and all of that, That's one of the things that I think people should listen more of, and I think that you're doing a great job. So thank you for that.
Hmm. Well, thank you again to be on the show. I really, really appreciate what you have done for all the young hustlers watching this show right now. Thank you so much once again, man.
You got it, brother. It's been a pleasure.